people would realize that anything's possible if you try. Dreams are made possible if you try. This is a quote from a man you may not have heard of. His name is Terry Fox. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you about his life, his legacy, and why I feel a special connection to him. Terry Fox was a Canadian born in 1958. At the age of 18, he was diagnosed with a type of cancer called osteogenic sarcoma. It was a cancer in his right femur bone. He underwent cancer treatment, and his right leg was amputated above the knee. He hated to watch the suffering and the death among his fellow cancer patients. He himself was given a 50% chance of survival, but he found out that if he had been diagnosed just 2 years earlier, he would have only had a 15% chance of survival. While he felt indebted to the medical advances that had brought the rate from 15 to 50%, he felt that not enough was being done, and he vowed to help. When he told his family that he planned to run across Canada to raise awareness and money for cancer research, his mother told him, she suggested that maybe he could just run across British Columbia, just one province. But Terry insisted that not only people in British Columbia got cancer. He trained for 14 months on his new prosthetic leg, and on April 12, 1980, he began his run. He called it the Marathon of Hope. It's a fitting name because he ran the equivalent distance of a marathon every single day. He ran through rain, snow, wind, whatever Mother Nature threw at him. At first, he didn't have much of a following, but slowly the media began to pick up his story, and people came out to cheer him on as he ran through their towns. He made a goal. He decided that he wanted to raise $1 for every Canadian, for a total of over $24 million. But on September 1st, 1980, something happened. He was running, but he didn't feel very well, and he asked to be taken to the hospital. The doctors at the hospital found that the cancer had spread to his lungs. He was forced to stop the Marathon of Hope and resume cancer treatments. He had run 3,339 miles in 143 days and raised $1.7 million. In February, while he was at the Cancer Treatment Center, his goal of raising $1 for every Canadian was reached. By June, he lost his battle with cancer. He was 22 years old. As for me, I first learned about Terry Fox when I was 6 years old. I sat on the floor of the gym with my classmates, and we watched a video about Terry Fox to prepare us for the upcoming Terry Fox run. He instantly became my hero. Yeah, go. Okay, sorry.
I'm not sure what that just you're looking like. Don't play it too soon. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm trying to stand up.
Okay.
Terry Fox, running to the heart of Canada, on now at the Canadian Museum of History.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Oh,
It's cool.
Okay, there we go.
I first learned about Terry Fox. I was 6 years old. I was sitting in the gym. He was my hero because I hated walking 4 blocks to school. And here was a leg amputee who'd chosen to run across an entire country. It blew my mind. So, not only had he decided to run across an entire country, but his legacy was huge. In the past 35 years, over $700 million have been raised in his name for cancer research. People around the world participate. Terry Fox runs every September, like I did that year when I was 6. Terry and I are both leg amputees, but I never had cancer. Sorry, that's okay, I just don't know how to do this. Whatever, it's fine.
Okay, you keep going.
So I was born missing my femur.
There we go. Is that one you want? Or do you want the other one?
It's,
Want the cute baby one?
I'm good now.
Okay.
So I was born with my foot, ankle, and my calf at the tibia and fibula, but no femur. As a toddler, my little right leg was in a prosthetic, and I could walk around like this. But by the time I was 4, it became problematic that I didn't have a bending knee. The problem was that I'd sit in the back of the car, preferably one with all tires working. And my leg would stick straight out in front. And by the time I was 4, it was hard to fit in the car. It just didn't work. So I had a surgery called a Van Ness rotation. I remember being in the operating room. I chose the orange flavor of gas, which is a terrible flavor in case you were wondering. And when they put that mask on my face, I fell down Alice in Wonderland's rabbit hole. While I was under the anesthetic, the surgeon cut my leg near the hip. He cut everything except for the nerves. The nerves were twisted. Everything else was cut, turned around backwards, and reattached. There are some metal rods in my leg to hold everything together. And the purpose of this surgery is that it gave me a backwards ankle. Sounds weird, but that backwards ankle can function like a knee. Having that bending knee makes it easier to do things like walk or fit in the back seat of a car. When I woke from the surgery, my mother asked me the obvious question, how does your leg feel? And I told her that it felt dizzy. And you remember that 4 blocks between my house and my school that I hated? Well, after my surgery, I was in a body cast. So my parents plopped me on a stretcher and wheeled me down the sidewalk so I could go to kindergarten. But now you're wondering, why am I telling you about my surgery? Well, I was born missing my right femur bone. Terry Fox had cancer in his right femur bone. By the late 1990s, surgeons were using my surgery on osteogenic sarcoma patients like Terry Fox. If he had been born in the 80s like I was, he might have a backwards foot too. And if he were born in the 2000s, he might not have had an amputation at all due to progress in the field of limb salvage. Terry Fox, I also like him because his attitude is kind of like mine. He had a quote. He said, "I bet you feel sorry for me. Well, don't. Having an artificial leg has its advantages. I've broken my right knee many times, and it doesn't hurt a bit." Sounds like something I would say. Terry Fox was a hero, and his story is incredible. It touches the hearts of everyone who hears it. In his own words, "I don't believe that this is unfair. That's the thing about cancer. It happens all the time to people. I'm not special. This just intensifies what I did. It gives it more meaning. It'll inspire more people. I just wish people would realize that anything's possible if you try. Dreams are made possible if you try." Thank you.